So I don't understand when I look at this, the motion of the girls. So I'm looking at this thing about motion offense in girls lacrosse, right?
Right.
So I see my screen here. Let me enlarge it a little bit. Okay, so I got this girls lacrosse field here. And when they have emotion, so in boys, when I think of boys, it would go like this. You know, my mind immediately goes to this. I put in context of boy. Player 7, right, passes down. And then I see a triangle, cut, boom, boom. Like these three form a triangle.
Right.
Or if player 7 dodges this way,
4 cuts through, 7 clears out, etc. Right.
or 7 has the ball, 7 dodges the alley. But the problem is they can only be in here for 3 seconds, right? In this
No. Defense. Offense can hang out there all day long if they want.
Well, ChatGPT stinks because they said defense, and that's where I got confused. Stupid ChatGPT. Right. AI still needs to improve. All right, well, that clears like a lot up. So, okay. So then the premise is number 6 has the ball. Okay.
So back to the 3-second rule, though, Joe. This is an important part of the 3-second rule that I'll expand upon. You need to be within a stick's length of somebody you are actively defending or marking. So if you're a defender, you 8 meter forever, as long as you're actively marking somebody.
But offensively speaking, we're just thinking pure offense now.
You got no restrictions. It's not like basketball.
So these two girls, 3 and 4, can hang out there. So then theoretically, if I'm thinking like in boys lacrosse, a triangle offense in boys lacrosse, my mind would immediately go to if this person dodges, she comes up, she comes down, and she's streaking down the alley looking for a shot. But now she has to worry about not hitting a defender in the head because there's that rule, right? Or that's not her problem. That's the defense's problem.
No, that is her problem, but it is the defense's problem.
Okay,
so
well, obviously not want to get hit in
the head. She has the responsibility of not shooting through the defense. Right?
Okay.
And so then the shooting space foul. So remember, draw your invisible triangle from both sides of the crease to the person with the ball, right?
Okay.
So
let me just do a
tangent lines from the crease, right? No, the crease.
Right.
To the ball carrier, but to the width of the crease. So like,
yeah. So it'd be like,
you got it, like down on the GLE, basically.
Yeah.
And then to the ball.
Kind of like that.
No. It's a triangle to the ball. So if 3 has the ball, 3 is the vertex of the triangle.
Yeah, like that.
So anybody that's in that space that's not actively marking somebody, right? And is not within a stick's length of the ball carrier is in what's called shooting space. So it's their responsibility to stay out of that space. It's the shooter's responsibility to not plunk anybody in that space. So pretending, I'm going to preempt this question, I think. So if 3 is coming downhill at the cage.
Okay, here she goes. So 6 clears out to the crease. 5 fills where she came from. Standard boys offense.
And 6's player leaves 6 to defend 3, but is not within a stick's length. She gets the foul. If she, so say it's X, right? Or number 8 for simplicity's sake. If 8 leaves 6 and is not within a stick's length of 3 when she approaches and is not in that magical triangle, right? Then she's assessed a shooting space penalty, which means 3 would be on the second hash, which is that hash mark that X is standing right by. They would get awarded a free position check.
So basically, she has to go or not. She needs to stay with
her guy. Or not, right?
There's no dummy slide like in boys where you kind of like hover, where you could kind of, because in boys, one strategy would be, I'll kind of stay here to kind of make 3 question, am I coming, am I not?
Like a hedge, right?
Yeah, hedge. Okay, high hedge. I guess a dummy slide would be more like step up and then come back, or
Right.
anyway, we get the point where they're
So
not making a clear move. They're kind of
they're
hedging.
going to
Like,
stay with 6 so that they don't get called for shooting space.
right. So the
Or
boys'
if
philosophy
they're
of saying would
going
not work here.
if they're going to make a move, they need to banana. So hang on a minute. Like they need to
Oof.
banana. So they need to go out of the triangle and back into the triangle to put the body on them.
So which means if I'm covering 6, who just came in, who's already in motion, it's not like I'm guarding a stationary person, right?
Right.
I
Right.
need
They're
to
not
be
going to, yeah.
adept enough to follow this person who's going in the crease, who's a threat, who can receive the ball and shoot, right?
Mhm.
But I also have to worry about 3. Let's call 3 a very talented, fast player who's streaking down the alley, who all likely is going to score because it's one of their better players who managed to beat her girl off, off this first step. So I got to then not only stop her, I got to be disciplined enough to banana to basically form almost a basketball type defense where cut her off of the path because obviously you can't, take her out body contact, which
Right. And we want to,
actually in many ways is good form is you wouldn't teach a boy to slide to the player, you slide to where the player is going, you
right.
know. So is that essentially what the girl has to do too? She has
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. But you would like, but I would teach my girls here in this instance to banana top side and not low. Right. So banana towards where you don't want her to go to take her to where you want to go. Get what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so
So I would
yeah, so
banana
yeah.
towards 5, like the curve of my banana would go towards 5. So to the right on the screen to push 3 to this side of the screen.
Okay, so just use 3 again, just to use the same dodge. And I'm thinking in triangle terms. 3 does a nice stuff, then comes down the alley. Sorry for the sound effects. Okay, and then so number 4 is filling for where she came from, and number 6 is clearing through,
Right.
right? X was guarding 6, so she's following 6 in. Uh-oh, now I realize 3 is about to come here and take a shot coming down the alley. You're saying to defend this, X should go here, like up.
You got it. Essentially, yeah, that curve. Get up, get out, get over.
But if number 3
You got it.
streaking with a full head of steam,
Then we can meet her from the side and stay out of shooting space.
so I could come this way too.
Right. And then
But
remembering
either
that, but if you come under, you're going to be in shooting space if you're not within a stick's length. And so that's where if you're coming the second way you described, where you're coming from inside the 8 to outside the 8 and to number 3, that's where you can get assessed. Going back to this last part, number 3 is also responsible for not hitting that person. So if they would both get assessed with a penalty, 3s would be of greater significance because it would come along with a yellow card, which is a 2-minute, and X just gets the shooting space, but the more egregious of the 2 fouls would award possession. So if X was in shooting space and 3 hit X, X's team gets the ball back, 3 takes a break for 2 minutes.
and this is a whole nother conversation. The ref in girls lacrosse, which is a whole nother conversation unto itself. But basically, what you're saying, I think you said this last time, and obviously I was missing the key point about the 8-meter, is as a guy's tactician, I could basically apply so much of it to girls.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the rules of shooting and shooting space in the way, that's a whole nother thing. But when I'm just applying like movements and designing an offense and designing a structure for them, I really don't have to worry about much with the girls. You said the application, I understand, in real time of shooting space and all that, but the
Right.
actual like creating space, whether it's basketball, men's lacrosse, girls lacrosse,
Right. So
So yeah.
the one thing I would say is remember there's 4 attack, right, in the women's game. So if you
Right.
want to employ guys' tactics from an offensive standpoint, be very deliberate about um, indicating to your players that they're positionless when we play offense. Meaning, let's say that 1, 2, and 3 were your midfielders when the set started. Right
Yeah.
now, as the set looks, 3, 4, and 5 are your midfielders. And so 3, 4, and 5 have to know they have two-way responsibilities, right? And not wait for 1 and 2 to overlap 4 and 5 if there's a transition going the other way.
Now with men's lacrosse, or boys, I'll say this because I'm talking about beginner level. I try and make it very clear in the very early phases, you're attackman, you're midfield. Once I understand that, then I get obviously, keep it simple. So in this, if I was a beginner girls coach, I would say, okay, just to keep it simple, we have 4 attack, right? So I could
Yep.
theoretically do something like this and just
Yeah.
say, these 4 girls, you girls are my attackmen until next quarter, then you get to play midfield, and all the
Sure.
fun. And then from there, obviously, we could get into what you're talking about. But theoretically, I could do, for a strategic perspective, I could almost employ a guy's principle of just, I don't know if girls do this, but it's just less space behind, I know. But if I have an extremely good attackman, like a girl who's just, that girl, right? I could isolate her behind and let her go either way, and then just use the guy's philosophy. When she comes this way, these 2 girls come up, she has space, and then the girls up here just kind of stay up, ready to receive the ball for a shot. Like a very basic. Would that work in girls?
Depends on the team. I would say that girls typically don't. Girls typically play those 2 pipes as a zone because we can't go through the crease in the high school ranks. In the college, they can. And so typically, if the ball was coming from the left side or where 3 is stationed right now and swinging through the right, or what we would call rolling the crease in the girls' game,
Yeah.
typically the girl that had the girl on the pipe is going to let her go. The girl that was marking 1 is going to take the other girl. So they're gonna exchange there, and that's a tough play unless you've got somebody that's extremely quick, shifty. That it's not.
So I ask this, it just feels like girls is much more based around, even though guys do this too, and so does basketball, but even more so in girls, it's find your best matchup and make it as easy for that matchup to go to the goal as possible. So where would you, or not even you, let's just talk general basic stuff, not even get into the details of your tactical brain, but a basic place where a girl would dodge from, a coach would say, okay, our best player is number 1. Where do we want her to be?
We're dodging from X, but our number 1 also has got such a good head on her shoulders that she knows if a double comes or if a mismatch happens in a cut that she's feeding the ball, right?
Okay, so would this be in girls? Ooh,
We have some sets like that, yeah.
right, just set up the girl for success from up here. When
Right.
I look, and I guess this could apply anywhere. Like if I bang it around up here to 6, 7 could create space like this, and 5 could kind of just come in, and then this girl goes. But I guess yeah. So there's something strategically you're saying I got to think about. One, the obvious one is you don't have as much space to work back here in girls.
Right. 5 yards
So,
less.
so you're not going to have the same type of, let's put Mikey Powell back there and let him just work his magic, or Lyle Thompson, and just
We
let
did
him
say
do
let
it.
him cook. Let him cook.
Let him cook. Whereas
Let him cook.
when I watch girls lacrosse, their superstars always seem, and that we're getting a higher level stuff, they always seem to function from the top of the key a little bit more.
Yep.
Whereas in guys lacrosse, obviously you have your Paul Rabels that go from top, but we also have our superstars, the John Grant Juniors, the Mikey Powells, the Lyle Thompsons, that all function from X, and kind of do that. Okay. So what was the you mentioned? I want to go over that again. When you think of a girl's strategy, a girl's offense, basically you use the guy's offense for a lot of things, but understand defensively when you dodge from X, they're more going to hang out on the pipes. They'll use a little more of a zone strategy than they would in guys. You're going to see that a little more.
Yeah,
So if I'm
zone
yeah,
concepts along with zone strategy. I don't think a lot of team. I think it's 50-50 in the ladies game, but I think that there's concepts that bleed into, especially when the ball's being played at X. There's concepts that bleed into kind of some zone mentality.
okay, so let's talk about one of the oldest guys plays in the book, the double mumbo pop. Could we do that in girls? So she's dodging, comes through, open, comes through, mumbo. So we could do that in girls theoretically, correct?
Yeah.
And that would actually be very good in girls to do.
Yeah. Because you can
Can
pull
they
somebody into shooting space if you do it the right way. If you like set some nice little, nifty picks as you're coming through those pops. Yeah, you can get somebody
right?
hung
So
up in
number
shooting space.
7 could pick from number 4 and come out, or the other way, you do it is number 7 just calls for the ball, drawing the defense in, and this one comes out. Either
Lots of
way,
different
huh?
lots of different ways. We'll run that kind of situation man up. Where we actually would take 3, 5, 7, and 4, stack them on the elbows vertically. So the elbow is where the straight line in the 8 meter meets the arced line in the 8 meter. And then basically we're forcing a 1-on-1 with 6. Then we're forcing a 2-on-1 on one of the sides, right? Or if 6 gets a double, we have 2 2-on-1s because they think ISO, and our thought is not ISO there at all. It's 3 and 5 or 7 and 4, depending on which side she dodges, are going to separate themselves out so that we just have a catch and shoot.
Yeah, which is great. And I guess what we're saying on the simplest level, strategically, you could implement guys lacrosse strategies, but eventually
Yeah.
you've got to learn some details because you had to do it. And I go over this because I want guys to be able to coach girls as you did and not be so intimidated and realize like, hey, don't overthink this. This is not. There's so much you could do. So when you do this, you could do a double mumbo. You could do everything. You could basically implement your strategies pretty seamlessly. Like I said here, she comes down, number 3 clears out up here, and shots on a very basic level. So theoretically, 7 could hang out in the crease all she wants. It's the defenseman that's going to have the problem.
As long as the defenseman's within 3 of, or within a stick's length of 7, the 3 seconds isn't going to be assessed.
Right. But that's the defenseman problem, not 7's problem.
You got it.
If 7's just some girl with like asthma and giant glasses and doesn't know her,
call that Rachel.
Right. But she could just sit there with her. She could just sit there with her stick up and just hang out there, and everybody else could run the offense.
Yeah. If you were ever in the States and you heard us call a girl Rachel, that's that girl.
Right.
That's our nice way of saying you got a fish.
Yeah. She could just hang out there in the crease and kind of, it's interesting. All right. Any other points? And just talking tactically, strategically as you form this stuff.
I think the easiest way to go about it, if you're a guys coach transitioning, is lean on 2-man game, lean on pairs offenses, and that'll simplify things a lot, right? 2-man game especially, because you can pick, pop, roll, all sorts of sneakiness and get girls hung up in shooting space a lot.
So
Estás siguiendo, Alexis?
What's that? I think he's on mute.
Oh, he's checked out. I was going to ask him if he was understanding. Like, hey, are you following?
No, he can't follow this level of English.
Okay.
Okay, so here you get 3 and 4 are about to do a 2-man game up here, right?
Right.
So I would say, Over here, 2 and 1, you're going to work together. 5 and 6 work together, and 7, you just hang out with your stick up and don't get in the way.
We would play mirror with 7, right? So if they're left, she's right. If they're up, she's down. So on and
I
so
guess
forth.
I'm thinking you were coaching a higher level. My mind is going to like the real early stages,
Right.
where it's like, but anyways, the principle's still the same though. You could have,
Yeah.
in the same time, at the flip side, let me change that. We're calling this girl like the bad player. If 7's a super talented crease player, understands just how to move and where to go, you could do 3 2-man games and let 7 just rock out and just be her and be creative, in the middle. Because obviously there's an odd number of players here, so you can't do a pure 2-man. Where in guys, it's 3 sets of 2. Here you can kind of have them. But anyways, she could do a pick and roll, because when we think of 2-man game, the most common place we do it from these days is up in the top corner, because it opens up the sweep here, the pick and roll. I think back when you and I were less older, the 2-man game was much more vertical, like up top here, and 2 from behind, would do it. But I get your point. So really, almost everything works for the girls' game. Yeah, I really got thrown off of that rule, but I understand what you're saying. Not to repeat myself, but that rule the girl needs to be aware of don't shoot the ball if a defender is in the way, because you could be penalized for that, right? That doesn't affect me as a coach, my strategy. That affects me as a coach teaching them how to play the game. But it shouldn't affect when I think of motion and offense and philosophies and tactics. Because that's going to apply no matter what we do. That's just teaching how to play the game, which is a separate conversation. They're 2 separate things, like teaching a guy how to run the offense is a different thing from teaching don't use your free hand to ward and da-da-da-da. They're 2 different things. I can't teach an offense with the understanding my kid doesn't know how to keep his hand on the stick. So they're 2 different things. Maybe not the best analogy, but we get the idea.
I get
All
it.
right.
Yep.
Cool. This is hugely helpful. Thank you. Let me get Alexis back to say hello. Alexis. Then.
Sí,
Okay. Nosotros hablar sobre mujeres tácticas. Yo puedo enseñarte más tarde si tú quieres.
sí, claro.
Ok. ¿Tú tienes pregunta para Gary o no?
In this moment, no, but I am very happy.
¿Qué tú hacer con lacrosse en Medellín ahora?
En Medellín nos estamos preparando para la Copa Fundadores.
So he said we're preparing for Founders Cup, which is an annual tournament in November they do every year in Colombia, of which I was the leading scorer. I just want to throw that out there. See Alexis here no?
I don't understand.
I got lots of goals. Me gano mucho goals.
Oh, sí, sí, yeah.
That's because I wasn't playing defense on you, Joe.
They were all a bunch of Colombians who were much smaller, lighter than me, and I did like the big old middle-aged bald guy back in. That's what it was essentially. That's essentially what it was. But yes, it's an annual tournament they do in Colombia with all Colombians play lacrosse. They've had years where there was 100 guys playing, so it was pretty cool.
I'd have a lot of fun with that. I just like playing.
You can play.
I just like playing.
Alexis, Gary, ¿puedo jugar contigo para Medellín?
Oh, por supuesto.
He said yes.
Bienvenido. Este año van a participar equipos de Brasil, Costa Rica y si mal no estoy, Chile.
So this year they have a team from Brazil, Costa Rica, and Chile coming to participate. Yeah. So this is the stuff I've been working on, Gary, that kind of stuff. So now you got Alexi a little more insight.
¿Quién es las mejor or más mejor? Like who's ¿quién es más mejor? Like who?
Who's the best? Who's
the oldest? Not the best, the oldest. Is it mejor oldest or is that
the
best?
Oldest? The más What do you want to know? The oldest or the best?
Viejo. Lo siento, viejo. Yeah.
¿Quién?
Like,
¿Quién es
in
el
my
más
team.
viejito equipo?
Like, jugador más viejo. Like,
Oh,
¿Cuál es
¿cuántos
Pablo.
años?
Pablo.
Pablo? ¿Cuántos años es Pablo?
He is 44 years old.
Oh,
He,
Yeah.
I would
and
be, yo tengo, 40, wait, no, 40, yeah, 48 años y, en, 5 meses, tengo, 49.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
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 Gary, I'm gonna
Pero yo juego con jugador uh, uh,
Joven?
hace or no has like 30 años más o menos.
Wow,
Like I
so
can
wow.
Still
Gary,
move.
there
Yeah,
was
you
a
are welcome in
goalie.
my team.
There's a goalie who was the goalie for the Medellin lacrosse team who played for Princeton in the early 70s. So do the math on that one. so
20 years older than me.
yes. So yeah, no, I think he was more than that then. He was
Good God.
Joe,
he,
¿cuántos años tenía cuando jugaba en el equipo?
so ahora tengo 48 como Gary. Cuando me juegue, cuando gano los goles, 44, 45 algo.
Wow.
Sí. Sí. All right. Listos. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah,
Hugely.
my pleasure.
All right. We'll talk soon. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Por supuesto.
All right. Thanks.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Ciao.
Hasta luego.